All right, welcome back to another episode of Deserts to Mountaintops. I am your host, Jess Buchanan. I am the founder of Soul Speak Press. We are a non-traditional boutique publishing company that serves and supports women who've been through something. Now they know something and now they want to teach us something. And today I am here with Bre Cain, who is a contributing author to Deserts to Mountaintops, Choosing Our Healing Through Radical Self-Acceptance. Her chapter is entitled Coming Home, and I am so excited to have her here to share a little bit of her, what she wrote about in her Deserts to Mountaintop experience. Bre, welcome.
Thank you, Jess. So excited to be here.
So why don't you start us off with your desert moment? I mean, realizing that there are lots of desert moments in our journey, but the one in particular that you feel like sharing that you wrote about.
Yeah. So my desert was a long desert, 10 years plus in the desert. And I was struggling with just a multitude of symptoms. I was having migraines, half my body would go numb. I was having cysts that would just litter my body and scar and tear open. And I was taught from a young age to lean on the medical system. Mm-hmm. These people are here to save you. And so I reached out for that lifeline over and over and over again. And then that lifeline turned on me and we couldn't really figure out, there were some flags in my blood work, but the tests were all pretty inconclusive. And so we decided that mental health medication was the avenue we were going to go down. And that is when my desert started. I think what I wish I would have known, I was 17 when I got put on my first SSRI. Mm-hmm. And we've done a lot of destigmatization around mental health, which is incredible.
Yeah.
Because I think there is a huge need.
Yes.
And as soon as I agreed to that, I lost my voice in that system. Mm-hmm. I recently requested my medical records and went back through, and there was a sentence that would start out every appointment, and it was morbidly obese woman presenting with anxiety. And that was the precipice of how my medical treatment was handled. Mm-hmm. So the worse my symptoms got, the more frequent I would go in, the more it would be seen that I was abusing the system, and the worse care that I would receive.
Okay.
So that desert was long. Throughout that desert, I gained 150 pounds on the medications that they were putting me on. I was desperate to not be in the body that I was living in. Mm-hmm. I would do anything. I did every diet. I did research. I was trying to work out every single day. And I just couldn't do it to the point where I identified myself and my body as the problem. And then I disassociated. I disconnected. I didn't want to be in this body anymore. I was embarrassed to go out, with friends. And I started living in a future forward outlook, where when I lose weight, I'll go back and do this thing in public. When I lose weight, I'll apply for that job that I was looking for, but I'm too embarrassed to interview in the body that I'm in. And all of that came crashing down about a year and a half ago when I was diagnosed with chronic Lyme disease. And I had gone to, we're talking just so many doctors in the Salt Lake Valley. And I was recommended this Eastern medicine doctor. She was kind of a a midway. She had been to med school. She like worked at, the university that's here. She had a lot of credentials, and she was practicing Eastern medicine.
Mm-hmm.
And she was looking at, what does a holistic evidence-based approach look like with healthcare? And so I was intrigued.
Mm-hmm.
And I went in and I narrate in my chapter about my first appointment with her and what that was like. And it changed my life. We sat down for an hour. I walked her through everything that I had been through. I bawled my eyes out.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this was my last straw. This was the last appointment I would ever make. And if nothing was wrong, I would never go in again, to a hospital. And so when I came back into her office and we sat down and she had my results, I felt relief. It was the weirdest thing. I went through so many emotions. I'm like, I knew it.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
There was something wrong.
Yeah.
I knew, not in my mind, but in my gut, that there was something outside of my control.
Yeah.
That was affecting what was going on, and that we had been placing Band-Aids and numbing and disassociating and not truly dealing with the real problem. So by the time that I got into her office, I mean, the Lyme disease had gotten to my heart, and so I'm already in the process of heart failure, adrenal failure. My hormones tanked out after I had a baby, and I started going through menopause at 30. And so trying to reverse that has been incredibly hard. And I am so thankful that I didn't give up on myself.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a 3-year-old daughter, and I think I did it for her before I did it for myself. And then she taught me that I deserve it, that I deserve to be here. And that it's not about my willpower, right? Yeah. But it is about my power, about my voice.
Oh man, say that again.
Right? It is about my power.
Yeah.
And I think I spent so long berating myself that the gaslighting began to be my own voice. And I had to get rid of that narrative. So through my chapter, I go to this breathwork class, which I had no idea what breathwork was. I was raised like kind of conservative religious, and everything was witchcraft. And so we've deconstructed that a little bit. But I just wanted, I think it makes a lot of sense that people who struggle with chronic illness end up in places where we do body work, where we do massage, right? Where we're working through the lymphatic system, where we're working through where these traumas get stuck in our bodies, and learning how to regulate a nervous system, right? We are not taught about nervous systems in our hospital settings, but we know a lot about the names of medication, right? And so it's been a big shift for me. So I brought my family on this breathwork journey, and they all thought I was crazy. I thought it was going to be like yoga, like you on the mat and close your eyes and just like in and out and breathe. And when we got there and she explained what it was, I was like, they did not put this in the description.
This was not in the brochure.
This was not in the brochure. I do not want to be here. I even tried to get out of it for a second. I went up to the facilitator and I was like, hey, I have like a heart condition. I just got diagnosed with Lyme disease. Like, I don't know if this is safe for me. And she goes, that's totally fine. Like, this is your body. This is your experience. You have a choice. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Okay. She knew exactly what was happening.
She put the ball back in my court. Yeah. And I had deteriorated my body. I had pushed my body to the limits for somebody else's standard, for somebody else's expectation. But I had never approached and listened to my body and done what it was asking me to do. Mm-hmm. Right. And I think we resist that a lot. We have a meal and we're like, oh, I'm so tired. And we laugh about it. Like, take a nap. Your body is trying to tell you something, you know? Yeah. So this breath work was really interesting. It completely shut my mind off. There was no more future forward looking, and my body took control. And my body was like, I'm going to show you where we've been and where you are, because you can't even see how far you've come. You know, so just an incredible experience, I think, to confront the grief of getting a diagnosis. Yeah. And then confront my approach and take ownership and accountability. And our breathwork facilitator said this phrase, which I have in my chapter. And she said, no one in this life is going to save you, but you have the power to save yourself. Yeah. And at first I thought, well, that's not right. Like, I mean, the medical system should have saved me, and these people should have caught this. And a lot of my anger was I asked for help. Right. I was telling you how I felt, and you failed me. But I also didn't understand what it looks like to listen to myself and my body, to advocate for it, to say, no, I'm actually not interested in adding another medication, or do you have a background in psychology? Could we talk about that instead? You know, are we going to have layers? If my mind is truly causing my body to physically deteriorate, then how, like, the medication alone doesn't seem to be fully working. So I think the culmination of all of this, there was just a lot of forgiveness for myself. Yeah. And there's still a lot of forgiveness. I had this incredible mountaintop experience with this breath work and this radical self-acceptance. You know, I still live in a body that's classified as morbidly obese in the medical system. But I have a choice in how I love that body. Yeah. And it is constantly changing. Yeah. You know, and I'm so deserving of all the things in my life. And I missed it by not being present. Yeah. And now that I am, it's a daily practice to be like, okay, you need to come back here. You need to be here in this moment with these people, with yourself, and not be wishing for something else, not be waiting for something else to happen in order for you to love yourself. And it starts
like something good to happen for you. Yeah. You know, like the worthiness factor. Like, I had that realization actually this week. I've been doing a lot of work again in a particular area of my life. Yeah. And I had this like aha moment where I realized that the way I view my body is directly correlated to how much goodness the universe actually will bring me, which is totally effed up.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, okay. All right. Well, this is interesting. Okay. Now I know what we're dealing with here.
Yeah.
So we can like get to the root of it and we can fix this. And so I think that like being present is also like when we're cloaked in shame, we're afraid to show up in the present moment.
We are. And then it becomes this like, once you can identify it, there's no going back.
Right.
It is, Pandora's box. You're
Yeah.
like, now I can see it, and I see it every time. And
Yeah.
it's slow. But that's like the best advice I could ever give in a moment of desperation, is to observe yourself, your body, and your environment. And just observe, because we notice a lot of things when we are not living in the chaos of our minds and that anxiety. And that's the breathwork practice, was like, I mean, you sit there for 2 hours and you have a blindfold on and there's music playing and you're breathing in and out, and there's no one to talk to.
There's no escape.
Yeah, there's no escape. There's no escape.
Yeah. Which I think is so appropriate given your story.
Yeah.
Like there's no escape, right? Like you've got to face it. You've got to, no matter how much you disassociate. I mean, I guess you could disassociate for the rest of your life, but you have bravely decided to stand up and courageously say, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. And I think that, it's really encouraging to me, especially because you're young. You're what, 30?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're a baby and you're already like become this enlightened and you're already modeling this for us. That gives me so much, just like inspiration for like the generations coming up behind me of women, in terms, I mean, I'm a lot older than that. And I'm just now like starting to accept some things, not fully, but I'm working on it. It's a daily practice. So, tell me a little bit about what the writing process has been like for you, because this is hard stuff to write about.
It was brutally beautiful.
It was brutal.
It was brutal. Yeah, it's kind of interesting because when I signed up for the anthology, I wasn't even sure if I was going to write about Lyme disease, because I had a diagnosis, but it's, not really. I did antibiotic treatment, and then chronic Lyme wasn't recognized by the CDC until October 25th of this year.
Yeah.
And so I was literally diagnosed with a disease that doctors will not treat you for.
Right. Because it's not recognized.
Totally. And so for me, I was like, I can't write about that. I don't know enough about it. We don't know enough about it. And then as the anthology went on and I began to write things down, I realized that this was the turning point for me. This is my story. And it is very much in progress. And I think if we don't start showing up in progress, we get the wrong perception about where people are at in life. And it's not finished until it's finished, right? So I think for me, showing up and writing down what I know and where I'm at and how it feels, knowing that that's going to change, was incredibly healing.
Well, I mean, were there moments where it was just like really hard?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I ended up freaking out over my chapter and scrapping it and writing a whole new one, which I never sent because you said, don't do that. And then
you'd be surprised how many writers do that.
Oh my goodness. I believe it. It was just the most amount of therapy I could have ever done for myself, outside of a clinical office, sitting down with somebody else. And it was exactly what I needed, because I have had a decade of other people influencing me with their opinions, and what I should and shouldn't do. And the therapy that I need right now is the time with myself.
Yeah.
To rediscover who I am, to figure out, like, mind and body, how are we going to do this together? And that's that coming home piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
My home isn't out there, it's in here.
Yes, yes, yes. I love that so much.
And
Oh my
writing
goodness.
it out is just, it's cathartic.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredibly healing and very vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have a huge writing background. My mom is an English major, and I'm a creative. I'm like a closet creative writer.
Not anymore.
I know, right? And I love doing spoken word, but my writing has been the most personal thing to me, which is really interesting. As an artist, I'll share my physical pieces of art that I've hand done, and I'm a graphic designer for my job. But writing, I mean, the inner workings of what's going on in here, and inviting somebody into that. I feel like it's allowed me to love myself even more, and to be proud of just this piece.
Yeah. Well, it's a reclamation, right?
It is. It is.
Yeah.
And kind of introducing people to this journey that I've been on, and that I know I am not alone in.
Yeah. No, you are not. I am right there with you, sister.
Yeah.
Right there. So how does it feel by the time this comes out, the book will have come out, but at the time of our recording, we're still working through all the publishing thises and that's. So, what does it feel like with the impending publish date looming? How does that feel?
Yeah, I'm nervous. And I've never felt more aligned. If that makes sense.
Oh, 100%. It's like jumping off a cliff.
It is.
You got to fall before you fly.
Yeah, it is so true. And I think I would have struggled to do it alone. And doing it in community with these other women, doing it with you, just this whole, everyone is willing to talk about real shit.
Yes.
And I needed to be in that space, because there's nothing about what's going on right now that is surface level for me.
Yeah.
And in order to heal that, I have to feel it, and I have to get to the other side of it in order to not carry it, and to walk that journey with other people in the context of radical self-acceptance, in the context of these bodies, that we live in and will eventually die in. It has been such an honor, just such an honor.
Well, Bre, you're a beautiful writer. You're a beautiful spirit. I have so enjoyed my time working with you, and know that this is just the beginning of your writing journey. I can't wait to see what comes out of this. And I just know it's nothing but warm embraces waiting for you as people read your chapter in this second volume of Deserts to Mountaintops. Thank you so much for trusting us with your story, and for being so open and vulnerable, and modeling what the healing journey really is all about. And for all of us, I am always inspired by you, and I adore you. So thanks.
Thank you. And thank you for just having the capacity to hold it, I think to create a space where people can come to and share their story and be human is incredibly rare and very special. So I'm so happy I got to be a part of it, and I'm so excited for what's to come. Who knows?
Me too.
I'm excited for today.
Show me how good it can be. That was our mantra for the last one, and I'm bringing it over. Show me how good it can be, because it's going to be it is so good, but it's just going to keep getting better and better.
Absolutely.
So, thank you, Bre.
Thank you so much, Jess.